Arrange. So I would like to let you know that we are very privileged to arrange this session for such a knowledgeable persons and proper profound speakers in the area of cyber security and specifically in the cyber range area. So the speakers will have a session on the cyber range. During that sessions, we will talk about some introduction on the cyber range. What is cyber range? Some of the use cases of the cyber range, how we can use it in the area of cyber security, and at the end we'll show you some demo to show you the use cases of the cyber range. So, with this note, I would like to take opportunity to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Shantanu Khandelwal. He is joining us from Singapore. Right now, he is manager at KPMG at Singapore unit. His expertise is especially in the area of penetration testing, the cyber security, malware analysis, incident response analysis, and he's having different kind of certificates, the professional certificates for the lead team, the certificates for this cyber security area. So we are having the very first talk on this advanced session. So I would like to welcome Mr. Shantanu Khandelwal, and now without taking more time, we can start with the session.
Shantanu, we can start with the session.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope everyone is able to hear me.
You're audible and the screen is
Hello.
visible.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Shantanu, and today we are going to talk about phishing tactics. So I'll start with a quote first, which is hello. 1 second. I'm getting some error. Hold on. Okay, yeah, so I'll start with a quote. A nation state or a cyber mercenary won't hack e-voting machines one by one. It takes too long and will have minimal impact. Instead, they'll take an easier approach, like spear phishing, the manufacture with malware, and poison the e-voting system uh, before before elections, and allow the manufacturer to update each individual system with a self-deleting payload that will target the tabulation process. Now, this is a very long code, but basically it captures the idea of why we have a lot of phishing attacks even in 21st, 22nd century, right? And it will continue to rise again because it's a very easy process. People fall into it very easily, and then it's very easy to affect a large number of assets, devices, people using this process. Rather than going and hacking everyone, you can just hack one person, and then you are able to control the company, or you can do whatever you want to do inside an organization, right? So phishing will continue to rise. That's my idea. But how? But let's move forward through it and then understand why phishing is important as well. Okay. So, okay, quick setting on. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Uh, so, oh my God. Okay. Okay. So, who am I? So, I am Shantanu Khandelwal. I am former student of FSU. I was in your college from 2015 to 2017. Currently, I am working at KPMG Singapore, but before KPMG Singapore, I worked in various parts of the world, including Kuwait, Hong Kong, Dubai, and okay. And I have a lot of certifications. Not a lot. I'll not try to boast on it, but yeah, I have some certifications, and I'm also author at Red Team Cafe. Recently, I also spoke in DEF CON around one tool which I wrote. So if you want to find out, you can find it on YouTube as well. Okay, so let's directly get into the table of contents today and what we are going to discuss today. So we are going to have a very brief discussion about what is phishing and indicators of a phishing email, and then all of the contents which you see till the end are basically advanced phishing tactics which I want to share with you. Okay, this is basically what I've gathered condensed information of last 6 years of my experience in fishing. There probably a bit more to it. I mean, if you frankly ask me, there are a bit more fishing tactics which I can share with you today. But to understand the time constraints and the level of information I can share with you today, I mean, these are some good good examples of latest techniques which you may not know while you are still studying in college, and once you're out of college, you may use these techniques to detect or to do fishing for your engagements. Okay, I do not in any way I do not promote you to fish anyone else unless you have proper authorization for it. Okay, so moving on. So we look at consent based fishing. We'll also look at domains for fishing, and then how we can use cloud domains for phishing. There's this attack called transparent window phishing, which you'll see it is very very good these days, and you may or may not have been a victim to this. We'll also see at LTR and then RTL attacks. We look into demark issues, and then we'll look at some GoFish scenarios and what's wrong with GoFish and how we can fix it. And then we'll also look at advanced phishing infrastructure, which probably APTs and other state actors are using to hide their phishing domains. So we'll talk about all of this very slowly. Um, okay, so what is phishing, right? So phishing basically is a act of convincing. Let's start with social manipulation first, right? So an act of convincing a person to perform any action which you may want him to do, and that essentially results in he or she revealing some information about him, her, or any other information regarding their organization, any part of their personal life or professional life. If they disclose any information, that is called social manipulation. Now, social manipulation has okay, I'm muted. Am I audible now? I'm unmuted. Hello.
Yes, you're audible. Shantanu, continue.
Okay. Okay. So one sec. Okay, so basically, I think I described social manipulation. I hope you were able to understand me. But so social manipulation has many types. You can see phishing, wishing, smishing, farming. Phishing basically what you do from email. Wishing is what you do when you call a person. Smishing is again what you do from SMSing. Fake SMSs you'll get I think probably every day. And then farming is something, when you compromise a website and then lure your victims into one website and then do a watering hole kind of attack. This is far more advanced, but just wanted to highlight that farming is one of the is also known as social manipulation as well. Okay, so let's quickly see, what are the indicators of a phishing email. So understand that in all of these phishings which we see or which are happening right now will generally have a very short lifespan. They will not be there for years and years. You see websites, let's say, you visit FSU website, right? It will be there for years to come, right? So because it's not, of course, it's not phishing. But then let's say if someone sets up a phishing email or a phishing website, that phishing website will not stay there for a very long duration. The reason being, there are a lot of threat analysts, people who are running AI to understand what kind of if this is a phishing website, etc., and then they will quickly detect you and then block you, and then you will see sometimes, I don't know if you have seen red pages on the Chrome saying this is a phishing page, do not proceed unless you know what you are doing. Okay, so phishing campaigns will generally maximum, what I've seen, will maximum last for 6 to 8 months. I haven't seen, I mean, unless they are very sophisticated attacks from nation state attackers, they are not very long. They're generally about maximum 6 to 8 months. Right. So since the lifespan is very short for these phishing campaigns, a fish needs to have two main items, right? The two main items are bait and deadline, right? So what is a bait? So bait is like what you want an individual to do. So for example, you'll see a lot of COVID-19 compliant phishing going around organizations, right? So as an attacker, the bait will be you want the person to open the document which is for COVID-19 compliance, right? So what an individual needs to perform is a bait, right? So or sign in to get free iPhone kind of uh, things are also a bait. Okay. So if this is bait, then what is deadline? So deadline is the time period within that action has to be performed. You'll see all of these offers in your message box saying fill this today and get an iPhone free, right? So today is the deadline. So all of these phishing emails will 100% have a deadline for you to commit. Why? Because again, coming to the short lifespan of getting detected and blocked by everyone in the whole world. So this deadline is as soon as possible, next Tuesday, limited stock, first come, first serve, right? So I'll say I only have 5 iPhones, right? And then I'll send an email giveaway, and then everyone within that short lifespan want to try within 1 5 minutes they'll want to try. Hey, maybe no one has signed up for it yet. I'll try to get this iPhone free, right? So limited stock, first come first serve is not directly saying any specific date or time, but then in your mind it is perceived as very short lifespan, and then people tend to go to these fake phishing websites and then register very quickly. Okay, so these are the two indicators of phishing email. So I think that's all about what I'm going to talk about phishing emails, and now I'm going to go inside very new tactics which you can see in phishing in phishing trends. So one of the major attacks which I see is consent based phishing. Okay, so with the onset of these new Azure AD cloud, uh, Okta, I don't know if you've heard about Okta, AWS, right? So all of these domain controllers and all of the infrastructure is now moving to cloud, which means that all of the authentication which has to happen for a client machine for a user is now happening on cloud. So for that authentication to happen, all of the vendors use browsers because browsers can retain state using cookies and have tokens, can have cookies, etc. So all of this is now being used by attackers by making fake Azure apps, fake AWS apps, fake authentications. Or Auth0 is another example, right? So all of these, as an individual, what you can do is go on to these, go on Azure, make a fake app, and then you can send that to the victim, and then you will have a lot more information about that victim. You can probably have some permissions over his contacts, etc. And then you can get more idea. Okay, moving on. I mean, this is just introduction. Now, why would you want to use a consent-based phishing, right? Uh, so when you use these, if an organization is using, let's say, Azure, then they are very habitual of seeing this Azure login page, and then once you go on Azure, create this fake application yourself, you'll also have that very similar look and feel of the Azure login because Azure provides same login page to everyone else, right? So essentially that's the same look URL is basically the same for everyone, right? So even from the URL side, you'll only see login.microsoft.com and then some bunch of random characters. Those characters are not legible by anyone, even if you're a defender, if anyone of an attacker, you cannot distinguish between the after part of a login.microsoft.com because it's encrypted and hashed whatever they want to, right? So URLs are basically whitelisted as well. So in all of these login.microsoft.com is whitelisted. Emails coming from Azure is also whitelisted because you want emails to come from Azure for any authentication errors or anything which is happening or anything which is happening on Azure. Since the whole organization is now on Azure, you want Azure to send you emails about whatever is pending for you to do, let's say HR emails, etc. All of them will be coming from Azure, and then these are whitelisted emails as well. So you can use Azure to send an email as well. And the links which are coming in are also whitelisted because you want people to click on it and not get blocked. Some vendors, I will not take the vendor's name. Probably will be a bad idea for me to do it. But if you Google around it, within 1 or 2 searches, you will be able to find one of these vendors also allows you to. So what happens is like is you go on go onto this vendor's website, create a fake application, and then the vendor will ask you saying, hey, do you want to share your application with other people? And then you say yes, okay, and then you provide emails of your victims, and then that vendor will actually send emails to all of those victims saying, hey, I developed this new app, kindly check. And then everyone everyone just goes ahead and then tries it, and then you can get more information. Okay, so why why do we have this consent-based phishing in the first place? Right? So what are the attackers trying to gain from this consent-based phishing? So essentially, when there is authentication, okay, I'll show you some pictures first, and then I'll come back to this. So this is a very uh, familiar screens. Uh, I mean, if you ask someone, like, I mean, have you seen these images before while you are in your office? They'll probably say yes, because a lot of uh, permissions are required internally for accessing SharePoint, for accessing any internal applications. So all of this will come, right. So this is very familiar login pages, and if you see very closely, they're all asking for some permissions, right. So if you see this cloud, right. So it is asking for sign in and read your user profile. It is also asking for Azure Service Management, some random permissions. And generally, what is the habit of users to click accept and go on working with their day, right? So basically, the whole coming back to the previous slide. Okay, what happened? Okay, yeah. So coming to the previous slide. Basically, the idea is to get those permissions. How those permissions are released are by tokens, right? So once you click on accept on the last screenshot which you have seen, you essentially give the application some of your permissions to to do something with your profiles. Okay, so the easiest one, and which is the most common one, is just getting read privileges on contacts. So what will happen is if you click yes, they will be able to see all the people inside your organization. And now suddenly, let's say previously they only had emails of 50 people in your organization. Now they have access to 100% emails which are right, and you don't even have to go on then say and find which emails are active, which emails are not active. So suddenly they have access to a larger user group, and they can send emails to a very specific person, let's say just CEO, and then conduct phishing there. Right? So this is how effective is consent-based phishing. Okay, so talking about how to do it, I mean, codes are very. I mean, everyone is just releasing tools these days. They are very easy to do. Just so these are the two very frequently used. O365 Stealer. You can just go find it on GitHub, and then this AWS SSO. You can also find for Okta. You can also find for AWS. You can also find for Auth0. Just go search on Google. You'll find these tools ready to use. Just probably need to deploy these tools and then send the emails. That's the only task which you have to do. So this is consent-based phishing. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'll take a 10-second break to understand, are there any questions till now? Or I can get any questions or no questions till now?
Just a minute, Shantanu. We'll check for questions.
Mhm.
so far? How could you have it? You
I don't know if it's going to take a lot of time, but do you want me to continue or you want to take questions at the last?
What is content-based phishing?
Okay, I'll continue first and then I'll ask questions in the last probably.
Just don't aware, just raise your
Okay.
hand.
I'll continue or I should wait.
Any other? It was just explained by him, and only 1 or 2% knows, and that is even wrong. Yes, Neeraj. Partially. He is feeling bad. The speaker says that if the students are not attentive, then he should not waste his time. He has taken permission. He is a manager. You can understand how much things he has to do. Shantanu, this is Dharmesh here. Please wait for a while.
Okay.
So it's very bad sign that such kind of people used to come and you don't know that what he is speaking of. At least he has just explained what is content-based phishing, and you could not answer.
Shantanu, are we good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll continue,
Just,
right? Okay, I'll continue for now and then I'll take questions at the end.
yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. So I'll not talk about domains of phishing, right? So how can you get or how can you be more effective in phishing, right? Or if you want to say, let's say, if you want to get a domain, then how can you do it? So so domain type squatting is a very common and very old attack. Well, I think this may or may not work in certain circumstances. Why? Because very mature organizations will have detections around it. And the main idea for domain type squatting is that people can confuse an L with an I, etc. So let's say the first example you can see Microsoft.com versus Microsoft.com, right? So there's a very little difference which if you're reading very fast and you may not be able to comprehend, and then you just click. Again, I'm trying to say that this may or may not work with mature organizations. Why? Two reasons. One reason is the proxy setting. So, let's say you are able to get mlcrosoft.com, and then you have a phishing page around it. But the problem here is that you just registered a domain. So if you just registered a domain, it means that you are not categorized into any. I mean, all of these proxies which organizations use have domain categorization. So let's say insurance, medical, government, search engines, etc. Right? So let's say you just registered website, then you do not have any categorization. And organizations on their work laptops only allow their employees to open very specific kind of domains. For example, insurance, medical, financial, research based uh, kind of pages only. You cannot go and open any kind of website on corporate laptops, right? So if you just register these domains, probably it may or may not work, may or may not work depending upon the maturity of the organization. Some organizations will also have detections around it. So if you are if you just register a domain, Microsoft will go and ask your domain registrar to cancel your domain because it's look very similar to Microsoft. Okay. Another way is use of Cyrillic letters. This is Cyrillic letters are basically probably, I don't know if you know Unicode. So if you're able to use Unicode, you are able to use Unicode. So let's say I don't know if you've seen any Chinese domains, but if you see Chinese domains, if you go on Chinese domains, then you will see some weird characters in your URL bar, and those are right characters. I mean, if you see some special I mean, if you just see something like this Chinese character, right? So something .com, right? So these exist, right? So how do that exist? This is because Unicode. So if you see this specific Unicode, it looks exactly like twitter.com. If you just type this specific sequence of letters in your browser, it will automatically transform to this, which means that essentially you will be only looking at twitter.com, but then in a sense you are on a different domain running a phishing campaign. Again, very limited because you will have actions around it. Okay. Another thing which is more useful, and probably every I can say APT, or in advanced phishing campaigns, which we also use, is using old domains. These are very new. Why? Because since you're purchasing these old domains, they are probably categorized into a lot of categories, and then people will inherently trust them. Now there are many, I think probably over 100 domain categories, but what you actually want is probably these four categories. Is because if you get these categories, you will not be subjected to even SSL packet inspection, because all of the proxies now have to comply with government rules, right? So the SSL intercepting proxies will never ever SSL decrypt your packets if you are in these categories. And if your phishing domain is inside this category, no one is actually checking for information theft. People are typing their passwords, etc. People are uploading files. No one is going to check because they cannot decrypt SSL packets if your domain belongs to these categories. And I'll just give you one example from one of my recent engagements, right? So if you see dbs.com.sg, right, this is a bank domain categorized under what? Financial. So you see the certificate difference for the dbs.com.sg, uh, which is a bank domain. It is finance, and the certificate is Enter Certificate Authority, which is the certificate authority for DBS. But let's say you purchase any random old domain let's say in this example, let's say you purchased my domain at team.cafe. You see the issued by. The issued by is Zscaler intermediate root certificate, which is, any, you still see this very very prominent, uh, this lock button. Everything is quite right. Everything is right. But then all of SSL or all of your information is first getting to the proxy. Proxy is inspecting what data is being sent and received, and then it is sending the traffic to redteam.cafe. So proxy can now see and detect if anything is going on. But if you get financial domains, like financial domains, then you are at a great advantage that proxies may not be even looking at what information is going through. Okay, so this is one. Another way for you to get domains is using cloud hosting. Very easy to do, and if you're only stuck, and if you're only stuck with the domain categorization, then you probably just don't need any domain. So you can just go on Azure, on GCP, or on AWS. Just register your domain there. Just get a VM there, and then host a website. You will get one of these addresses: azurewebsites.net, azureedge.net, web.web.app. Just register a CDN, right? So if you register through these services, you'll eventually get one of these or many of these other, cloud hosting domains. And the profit for using cloud hosting domains is you get a free SSL certificate. There is absolutely no configuration required. And the best part is all of these, any of the domain which you put up, or phishing page which you put up in front of these domains, what eventually get is that you will be allowed through every proxy, every email provider. Why? Because these are so widely used that that all the proxy said, I will allow any website from star.web.app or star.azure.net, because there are CDNs running on it. Every website depends on these websites. Eventually, they were just tired, and then they allowed star. But again, now there's a trade-off here, is that they will inspect everything. But if you are not doing anything fishy, or if you're just getting typed information around these websites, these are just credential harvesting websites, then probably you don't need to go and purchase a domain and then have a categorization, etc. Just you can just use this, because name, etc. Proxies are not going to stop from people writing their names into some forms. So depending upon your requirement, you can use cloud hosting or you can use other domains. Okay, so I think half of my are done. Okay, so I'll now talk about transparent window phishing. Okay, so this phishing is very, very, very old, and what I am thinking is probably you may or may not have been victim to this already. This is called transparent window phishing, and this is so good that probably the most perfect, let's say, and the most perfect person who can detect phishing will not be able to detect phishing in this particular scenario. So we have all seen these buttons. Sign in with Microsoft, sign in with Google, sign in with GitHub, sign in with Yahoo. So all of buttons is, when you click these buttons, what you actually see is something like a browser pop window, and then you put in your information, and then you click login, and then magically you log in into whatever third party website you want to log into. But in this particular, as real as this window looks in the demonstration, this is not a pop. This is an imitation of a browser inside a browser. So this is just another just any CSS or JavaScript element which you see in the website. Button for filling here is eventually going to the attacker's machine, and then who's going to use their credentials into it. This attack, I mean, it's very old, but then it has been popularized again probably within last 6 months. It is very difficult to detect, and as I said, it's a fake browser pop-up window. Filling your information, you feel like everything is okay, but then it's a fake pop-up, and you actually fill in the information right. One way to detect is that every time you see a pop-up window, drag that pop-up window outside your browser. So let's say pop-up comes, you click on the head of the bar, the pop-up window, drag that one out of your browser and see if this is a real pop-up window or fake pop-up window. But I'm pretty sure no one does that. Even I don't do that. So that's the only way you can detect it at the moment. Okay, how to do it is, you see this repository is called BITB. It has been popularized again. So the whole phishing is called transparent window phishing, but Mr. Docs came up with a new name, BITB, basically meaning browser in the browser. And then you can see that there are several folders into it. So depending upon you're using dark mode, light mode, Windows, Mac, Linux, any template you want to have, you can have that and then send the phishing to our victims. Okay. So moving on, I'll talk about one more. I think one of my favorite attacks during these days is RTL and LTR attacks. Okay. Um, so think of how Arabic countries write their documents. So as English people, or as we're writing English into our computers, we are typing from left to right. But then Arabic or Urdu is typed from right to left. So Microsoft, being Microsoft, they want to support everyone, right? So but what Microsoft did is that they want to support both at the same time, which is creating a problem. Okay, so I'll probably show you a demonstration and then talk about it. Okay, so I sent myself an email from efac.metador.liam@microsoft.com. Okay, but
Santanu, Santanu,
yeah,
wait,
yeah,
wait for a while. We are having the power cut here, so we'll again join in a 5 minutes.
okay, ma'am, thanks.
Shantanu, we came back. Uh, Sorry for the trouble.
No worries. I hope everything is now back on.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Our audio setting. Okay, now good.
Okay, great. Okay, so I was talking about RTL and LTR attacks. I'll start again. So this is one of the very old tricks with Microsoft. So Microsoft actually wants to support both left to right writing, such as English, while at the same time they also want to support the Arabic kind of characters or Chinese characters which are typed from right to left. So what you can do is a type of confusion attack, and then what you can make use of it is you can have a file, or probably I'll just show you how this works, right? So and then you'll have an idea about it. Okay, so you see this legit hello world annexure.docx. Okay, so this, if you see, this looks like a docx file. If you enable so I have basically enabled the show file extensions, etc., right? So everything is now enabled, but you still see that this is as a docx file, but essentially this is not a docx file. This is an exe file. I'll show you how to make these files as well. So in a way, if you can zip this file, send this to your victim, and then if your victim unzips the file, click on it, they will see at every point in time, from sending for him opening the zip, extracting the zip, everywhere, this will look as a docx file rather than an exe file. Now you may have you may have noticed that I'm saying zip it and send it. Why? Because essentially this may look like it has a .doc extension, but this is not a .doc extension. This is .exe. This is Microsoft just fooling around with you, and then this is an exe file. So all of the email protection, right? You cannot send exe files nowadays, will still work because this is an exe file. But then if you just zip it and then send it across, all of the email sending infrastructure is now okay, right? So this looks like a docx file, but this is not. The only way you can detect it is by clicking, and then if you click it, then you are dead already, which is malware has run already. Same attack you can also use in sending emails, right? So I particularly do not have a Microsoft.com email because I'm not a Microsoft employee. What I have is, if you read this carefully, mail.redteam.cafe. So what I have done is created a Microsoft.com or mock.tmicro tmicro timco, whatever you want to say, as a user into my cafe.team.cafe, sorry, mail.team.cafe, reversed it in a very good attempt, so that when it renders out to you, it looks like it's coming from Microsoft.com, and this directly, by the way, delivers to your email box. And then this is what I sent as an email to myself, right? So this is a very good attack, but then you have to be very careful that you are sending it to right people, and then you're not very abusing it, because the moment you try to abuse it, I have seen in my personal opinion that these proxies and the email filters quickly detect it, and then will stop you. But if if you're sending fish to very few people, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 people, which is a very good idea, by the way. uh, you can do this, and then you will be very happy with the results, because everyone will think now that you are sending emails from Microsoft.com and you are sending a DO6 file, but it is not a DO6 file, and you are not sending email from Microsoft.com. So how do I do it is very easy. Okay, so what I have done is created few scripts here. This is a private repository, but if you want, I can make it public. So let's see how I made that, right? So I made a hello world.exe file first, and then I copied it using Python. You can use Python, you can use whatever you want to do, but since I want to automate it, so I just use Python. So what I have done is I've copied hello world.exe to hello world windows and extra.docx.exe. It is still, if you see, it's still exe, but when it renders out, it will show you exactly like this. How? I'll still explain. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's come back here. Let's decode this, right? So use \u202d and then \u202e. These are the magic characters. And now you will see what exactly I have done. This is, if you see this D, this is D. \u043e is O CX. Okay, so this is a left to right character, LTR. Basically, it will reverse whatever it after it, whatever comes after it, right? So basically you are seeing this DOCX here when it renders out, and then you are seeing this EXE here. So you remember you have an ANN EXE.
We are running out of time. Last 10 minutes for you if you want any demonstration or something.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So basically you are using these 202D and 202E to your advantage. Okay. Moving on. Maybe I don't want to put this since we are short of time. I'll talk about GoFish, because probably if you go into some bigger organizations, you're probably using this if you're conducting GoFish, or if you're conducting phishing attacks. Right? So if you use GoFish, probably most of the people just directly download GoFish and then run GoFish. But GoFish has a lot of detections, and this is, I'm showing you one of the screenshots of their source code, that there are so many headers. So you see the signature header, you see this X GoFish contact. All of these actually are sent in as a part of the email. And then if, let's say, someone visits your GoFish web page, then as a HTTP response back, they will see GoFish in their HTTP response as well. Of course, it will not show up on the screen, but as for the browser and for the proxies and for threat hunters, your GoFish server header will eventually come out. So this is how. And then if you just go on a GoFish website, it also a very particular way of showing 404 page, right? So people have just taken this response, made new templates to find GoFish instances around the world. So it's very easy. It's very easy to detect GoFish, right? So how do we and okay, and one more thing. So GoFish also has a lot of these. When you create a landing page, it will have this RID equals to XYZ numbers, right? So this RID is so much rigged that if you send someone an email which is an RID character, it is more likely to increase the spam score. So how do we fix it? So there are several ways to fix it, and then you can go into each file and remove these things. Or what you can do is I've also compiled a list of you know GoFish mods which you want to do, which will basically hide the GoFish signature itself, and then you will be able to change GoFish in such a manner that it is not detected by at least the most common rules in the whole world. So all of this can be found on my redteam.cafe website. Okay, and not just GoFish, by the way. Let's say if you're using Nginx, so Evil Nginx, then you will see Evil Nginx header, right? So all of these tools which you use have signatures, and then you should be smart enough to find the signatures and disable them before you send phishing emails. Otherwise, you'll be detected very soon, and you'll not be able to even conduct your phishing attack in the first place. Okay, talking about the phishing infrastructure, I think this one is my last topic. So what generally people do is that they go on cloud, they install GoFish, and then they have all these domains, etc. And then they send phishing emails. So basically, there's a GoFish server on the cloud. It directly connects to internet. This is how general or a very wrong way to do phishing. The right way to do phishing is very complicated, but then this is the way where you can survive at least, I can say, at least 10-15 days of your GoFish running on the cloud, and then you will not be, you'll not see errors that that Chrome shows on phishing web pages that this is a phishing web page, etc. So how do we do it? Is first thing what we do is never have GoFish on the public cloud. This is an internal server. You can have internal servers in in GCP, AWS, Azure, whatever. But basically, this server is not exposed to internet. What we expose to internet are two things. One we set up an SMTP relay using postfix, and another we set up a web proxy using Nginx. And then these two servers are actually responsible for connecting to GoFish, getting data, and sending up. Why we are using postfix and Nginx? Because postfix and Nginx are used so widely on the internet that no one can scan them and then have detections around it, because there are so many variations of it, so many versions of it, so many people use it in the right configuration, the wrong configuration, that people have given up on detections of on these things. And how these things work also is that you can configure them so well that essentially you look like a very legitimate website, or you look like a very legitimate SFTP server. So what you can do is traffic all the web communication using a CDN, and then CDN talks to your Nginx proxy, and then your Nginx proxy talks to your GoFish server. So basically, you are hiding your web traffic in three ways. And while you use CDN, you can also use something called as Cloudflare. If you use Cloudflare, then you are automatically protected by the bots scanning your website. So if there are automated tools which are scanning websites, they will be stuck on this Cloudflare login page, and then they are gone. But legitimate users can always browse through from here to here, and then they will see a seamless communication. While for the SMTP relay, you can customize so many headers in postfix that you can get rid of all the GoFish related SMTP header and then send SMTP through postfix. So they're not able to detect if it is coming from a legitimate SMTP or actually coming from a GoFish server. Okay, so talking about the proxy, because I'm not able to uh, have SFTP relay configuration, because that's a very long topic. I can literally talk about the Nginx rules. So talking about the Nginx rules, it's very easy to do. 1 second. So you can have, let's say you are offering an iPhone. So what you can do is have a location configuration, pass all the IPs to GoFish, and then do a reverse proxy to GoFish. And then on the normal pages, what you can do is do a proxy pass to victim.com. Anyone visiting your website will essentially see victim.com website, and then anyone, specifically those people who are clicking your link that has a slash offer into your domain or the URL which you send them as a fish, they'll be going to go fish, while any other scanner engine whatever are coming to victim.com, which is a very good legitimate website of your victim organization. So in this way you are basically spotting any scanning which is being done on your phishing domains, phishing infrastructure, that it may be so eventually it will get detected, because people will report it, etc. But by, I think this will allow you to have 90% of the protection from the automated scanners, from the malware analysts who are working around the clock on global level. Let's say Azure people who are scanning their websites every now and then, Google, etc., Chrome, etc. So they will never, or they will very late see you as a phishing website, but by that time you'll be already be done with your engagement, and then you'll be on your next task, which is a red team or a report which you are trying to do for the organization. This summarizes my talk. I know I have skipped one section, but if you want to know about that, you can contact me on my LinkedIn or on my Twitter. I think that's my 58 minutes. Hope everything is okay. I can take questions if there are any.
Just wait for 2 minutes. If there are any question, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Shantanu, for your time. Next time, we'll love to have you on board over here physically. People are
Okay.
clapping.
Thanks,
If
sir.
you want messages for them.
I mean, I think it's quite great to have a lot of young talent coming into cybersecurity. All the best to everyone.
Thank you, Shantanu.
So, we are our second speaker already. So, our second
You
speaker
may
So I'll
stop
just
your
disconnect now.
presentation, Shantanu. Right.
knowledgeable person
Sorry,
in the same area like cybersecurity.
can I drop now, or there are questions?
Can I share my screen? Hello?
Yes, you're audible. You can share the screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So let me know if you guys are able to see my screen, yeah? And am I audible as well?
You are audible, you are visible, and your screen is also visible. Perfectly fine.
Excellent.
You are being introduced to the students. Just for a
Okay.
minute.
No worries, yeah.
So Instructor as it sounds, the sounds is one of the most trusted and well-known institute for the cybersecurity area, and it's also having the different expertise and the professional courses. Certificate is also there. So I think he's the most powerful person I can see who have shared the knowledge regarding the cyber area. He's also going to show us the demo for one of the use case for the cyber range. There is a live fire scenario. So without waiting on, we will start this session, and I hope you will enjoy.
Yeah, you're being introduced.
Thank you. All right. I think that's the cue for me to start, right?
Yeah, please.
All right. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to today's talk and session. I'm really honored to be here in front of such a distinguished audience. I mean, the future generation cyber security rock stars, as I call it. Yeah. So, I'm really honored to be in front of you, and I'm really, really excited to be doing this talk, which is enabling workforce ready students, and hoping cyber range can help us do that, right? So let me start by giving a little bit intro about me. I think you've already heard about my intro, but just to summarize, I've 25 years more, plus or minus, yeah, dedicated experience in cybersecurity, and I've been on both sides of the playing field in cybersecurity, the red and the blue, right? So currently, I work as a senior principal consultant. That means to say, I'm also a product architect for this cyber range, and I also double up as an instructor. And my previous experiences have been, working as a senior red team lead for a Fortune 50 organization, and and a lot of other stuff. I don't want to bore you with, but just want to tell you that I love teaching. Right, teaching is also my passion. Even though my job is fully hands on, from the trenches, but since I have garnered experience over the years from the trenches, I would love to share, some tips and techniques whenever I can, and it's my way of giving back to the community, right? So we need to do our bit to make the next generation folks, right, to reach the pinnacles of success. And I feel contributing to their career in a way that will make them the next, stalwarts is one of the ways. And I routinely do this kind of talks, and I'm so honored to be here in front of you talking about this subject, which is very near and dear to me. All right. So, what am I going to cover today? So, today I'm going to start by discussing the current predicament, the situation that we all have allowed ourselves to fall in, right? So, that means to say, I'm going to talk about some pain points that are affecting our industry, right? Specifically zeroing on cyber security skills crisis and shortage, right? And then I want to give you a heads up of how the industry is doing, and then I want to give you a kind of motivational pep up talk, all right, by showing you, right, look guys, if you can roll up your sleeves, and if you can just do your little bit of due diligence, right, and plan it properly, there are very cool jobs waiting for you in cyber security. And I'm excited to talk about those cool jobs, right? And then how can you get those skills to get those cool jobs, right, in cybersecurity? That's where the cyber range, right, the next gen cyber range comes in, right? And I'm going to talk about what is cyber range and how it can help you, right? And I will also conclude with a live demo of a cyber range live fire exercise, like how would anybody inside of a SOC or whatever, right, he would deal with, and how you could see cyber range could help him develop those skills, right? And finally I'll conclude with a Q&A, right? It's a kind of I would say 1.5 hour presentation, but I think it can be done in a much shorter time. So please bear with me. There's a lot of things that I have to cover. So without further ado, let's jump straight ahead, right? And by the way, great thanks to the previous speaker. I just came 5 minutes before he was concluding, and believe me, right, phishing and setting up a phishing infrastructure. These are all cool stuff, right? Gone are the days when you could just send a phishing email and someone would click on it. Now there's a lot of great work, like the previous speaker, he showed us, right? You need to set up an attack infrastructure. You need to buy up the domains, right? The expired domains, and then categorize them, and then choose your payloads properly, right? You name it, right? So I can talk about all this stuff till the cows come back home, right? Because that's my passion, right? I mean, if you leave me, right, I can keep talking about it and I can keep going about. But let's wrap it aside. My topic is not about today about phishing or red teaming, and I have a different thing to cover today. All right. So what is this that is affecting us? The whole cyber industry is going through a very severe skill crisis, right? Specifically, cyber security skill crisis. And this skill crisis, I mean, I have data to prove it for you. I'm just not, belaboring on top of my head, right? I have data, and these are all professionally conducted, sources of data that I have for you. And this is from, ESG thing. They have, done a survey, and then they say 74% of the total number of security professionals surveyed feel their organization has been impacted. Why? For shortage of skills, right? Companies themselves don't have the right cyber savvy, security savvy skills, right? So they confess that we don't have the skills, and that has resulted in world's biggest data breaches and hacks, right? So this particular website that I frequently go to is from this site called informationisbeautiful.net, and then you search for world's biggest data breaches. They have up to the date breaches that happen all over the world, right? And you see that almost all companies, they have been breached. None of them are immune, right? Because cyber security it's just not some kind of a silver bullet. You just buy some technology and then you push it in and things will start working. No, there's a lot of things that need to do, and it all starts with the people, right? And that's why they say, this particular report from Fortinet, it says 70% of the organizations, they had at least one breach over the past year that can be partially attributed to a gap in cybersecurity skill, right? And 47%, three or more, right? So this is now a problem which is glaring up, and the situation is only worsening. It's not slowing down. And 95% of the CEOs, right? So again, surveyed by the organization CIO. I don't know whether you read it, right? So this one, they say CIOs, the chief information officers, they expect cyber security threats to get worse. That's close to 100%. Everybody is acknowledging that we are headed, right? We are headed for an apocalypse, right? Something bad is going to happen unless we do something, right? So it's no longer a question of if, but when are you going to get breached, right? And this startling statistics say almost every CISO who was interviewed, right, more than 95, they say we are just bidding our time, right? Today, that's why organizations, they know that they get breached, and that's why they have changed the mantra, right? Today, there's no longer something called prevention, right? It's more, I'm going to tell you, prevention is ideal and detection is a must, right? Anyway, I'm going to talk about it later. So cybersecurity market value, this is around 300 billion US dollars, the market will be by 2026. Such a big market, right? So this is why, I don't remember, there's a very top organization, they just mentioned the top 4 risks, right? Out of that, removing the world hunger, right? And all that, they claim cyber security threats as the third particular risk for whole over the world, right? Why? Because it's exploding exponentially. Yeah, and people are aware of this. Okay, the business owners are aware of this, the business is aware. That's why they are going head way into investing in cybersecurity at organizations, right? Gone are the days when cybersecurity was just, a technical little area to be worried by the security manager, or for that matter, the CTO or the CIO. Today the CEO's neck is tied to cybersecurity function, proper prosperity of their organization, right? If something goes wrong, their heads will be the first one to get chopped, right? And I'm sure you have heard about previous incidences like Enron and a lot of them. I can't just name them, right? But so many. But you know what? I've been a consultant for nearly 15, 20 odd years of my life. And I go to different companies to consult, to talk about when breaches happen. I go there for investigation response. I also do consulting before the breaches, right? I have seen, and it's not only my personal experience, but it's validated by industry pundits as well. Most of the organizations today, they are investing, but they're investing in wrong areas. Meaning to say, they buy technology. They think, let's go and buy that next gen product, right? That's going to solve all our problems. Next gen firewall, next gen IP, next gen antivirus, right? Anything with next gen is cool, right? That's a buzzword. So just go and buy that and then stick it there. And little bit on the process and the policies, and very little on the people, right? I think it's a totally wrong way. That's why even the most advanced products are useless if our people don't have the skills, to manage them, to operate them, to do, whatever is needed to drive them, to give their results, right? The proper business cases. And that's why the result is it's continued increase in successful breaches, regardless of the investment stacking up one of the other on different technologies, right? So this brings to to you. I wanted to show you the slide of the time span of the breach events. So this slide that I'm showing you here is from a very respectful organization called Verizon, and they release annual reports called DBIR, Data Breach Investigation Reports, right? And they're free. You should go and subscribe to them. Just Google for Verizon DBIR, and every year, you read the reports, right? And I've been reading these reports for, gosh, I don't know for how long now, right? So many years. But I see a pattern that is not at all changing, right? This one here, this particular slide, right? This says that, breaches happens in seconds. Look at this, the first slide. Within seconds to minutes, you're hacked. And the data exfiltration, which starts in minutes, data exfiltration is, stealing of the data from internal systems and then sending it out. And it will keep on going. And look at the discovery. The discovery will not start noticeably until days and weeks and months, right? And then the containment, that is, stopping that damage or stopping that breach will not start until well ahead into months, right? So look at the gap. You get breached in minutes, seconds, and minutes, but the whole containment, stopping that is really taking time. And this one here is again in a different way of looking at it from Verizon. Worldwide, 146 days is what is the median, to detect an incident. Companies take an average of 146. But look at us here, the APAC, Asia Pacific, right? We take nearly close to 2 years, yeah? Yeah, it's close to 1.5 years, yeah? So much of time the attacker is on our network, right? And it's not attackers, I would say. There are attacker groups, yeah, advanced persistent threats, right? And then we don't know anything about them. Why? Because we are not able to detect them. And again, this is from Verizon DBIR. If you look at this, They are split up into small, large, and overall. And they say, internally companies have this monitoring services where I'm moving my cursor. They have, the intrusion detection, incident response, but they don't account more, less than 1% for detecting those threats and attacks. Most of the attacks on those companies are detected by whom? Not internally, right? If you look at this slide here, it's all detected by some unrelated party or some law enforcement agent. uh, how exactly? Okay, so this is how it happens, right? Let's say some systems were compromised, right? The hacker stole that information, and that information of that company is now lying on some third party somewhere. And the law enforcement, FBI or CID or CBI, they are investigating a different hack or different investigation, and they happen to notice your company's data on some third party systems, and they call up, and they call up over the phone, and they tell you, look, we are seeing your data on some third party systems, maybe you're breached. That's when companies know that they have been breached, right? And they have they are in an oblivious state, right? Like, what do they say, right? Ignorance is bliss, right? I don't know anything, so I'm in a very fine world of myself, in a fancy way, thinking everything is fine. No, right? Because you have been breached. So remember my earlier slide where the CISOs say 95% of them say we will get breached no matter when, sooner or later. And this is the mantra that every cyber security pundit or expert has to take it, right? That means to say we have to acknowledge that whatever we do, we get breached, right? That means to say prevention is ideal, but detection is a must. We are not detecting this, right? It's taking more than how many days, how many months for us to detect, right? Why? Because we don't have the skills. Put sharply, put on the spot, right? People, companies, they have technology, they don't have people with the skills. They don't know how to do proper detection, they don't know how to do proper stuff, right? And that's all contributing to the problem. So again, this is from the CIO magazine 2019 edition, and questions were asked: where are you investing? And what do you think will is your big bang for buck? All of them agreed. Currently, we are focusing more on the tech side, right? Product delivery, tech, but on the people side, very little, right? Even though they acknowledge this is where they need to do their bit, right? So bring in here the right amount of people, or give them the right amount of training or whatever, right? Because if you give them the right amount of training, the products will be churned out with the right amount of security, and then there will be right production, right awareness, and all that stuff. That's why I love to quote this from Professor Jonathan, right? He's the cybersecurity instructor of Maryland University. He says, I think everyone coming out with a university degree should be exposed to some sort of cybersecurity, all right? In a way that they are exposed to maths or English. Why? Because basic cyber security hygiene is so much important, right? Gone are the days where hackers used to just go and run an exploit that will try to breach the firewall, breach the systems. No, it's no longer happening. Today it's all about phishing, right? You phish the unsuspecting user, you go for the human, and if the humans don't have the basic cyber hygiene skills, gone. All your technologies, nothing can stop you, right? And that's why one is on the other end of the spectrum. We need good people who can develop this, who can manage the stuff with good cybersecurity skills. On the other end of the spectrum, we need people, the basic normal human beings with good cybersecurity hygiene. So this brings to me, and another source from ISC Square. I don't know whether you know about ISC Square. All right, this is the we call them as the gold standard of cybersecurity, right? If you're a CISSP or a C, there are a lot of things there. you go for them, right? And they validate you. They say, cyber security shortage is a grave issue, 70%, right? And then there is a big demand to fill these jobs, cyber security jobs. More than 500,000 jobs of cybersecurity are still vacant in US alone. What about the rest of the world? The same scenario all over the world, right? And there's a big, demand supply ratio, right? And it's alarming. Even though for other disciplines of IT, it's there, but it's very glaring for cybersecurity, right? Around 70%. It's so glaring that it's in such a high demand and low supply. The candidates sometimes have 2, 3, 4 offers at the same time, right? No kidding, right? So this is, there's people, you have right skills, they are going for you, and it's the workforce is getting wider and wider all across the world, right? And they say in the global scheme of the things, around 3.5 million shortage of cyber security professionals all over the world, right? And how about India? Are we doing well? No. In India, again, the same scenario, right? 75% of Indian companies are finding it hard to get a real good cybersecurity expert, right? And it's really getting over the surface now. And that's why, so those security professionals who are fortunate enough to be there in this area now, okay, we call this as the golden age of cybersecurity, right? There are recruiters who are running after them, right? As many as 18% of cybersecurity pros who are still not seeking a new job receive daily calls, right, from recruiters. This emphasizes how competitive the market has become, right? The shortage of people, and there are people running after them. And look at this. It can take 3 or more months to fill an empty cybersecurity position, right? This is from Isaka again, yeah. And as I told you, right, it takes 145 days to detect an incident, right, and 73 days to contain a breach. But look, to find the right guy, okay, it takes more than 3 months, right? And especially for the right top-notch skills, right, it will take more than 6 to 8 months a year, right? So I'm not boasting, but this is the current thing that is happening out there. And with that, let me introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to the 10 coolest job in cybersecurity, right? I hope that you all land up there, yeah? Sooner or later, you will be there. Okay, so this is, jobs with initial, advancement opportunities, digital analysts, forensic investigators, pen testers, SOC analysts, right? Cyber defenders, right? And then a little bit of more experience, right? Then, you can go in to become the malware analyst, depending on your preference, right? You can also become the CISO, right? Managing the whole job with a term of time. That's why you need to be, aware of something what we call the color wheel in cybersecurity, right? So what is this? We're briefly introducing you to that. The LO team, as we call it, are those cyber security savvy developers, right? We need them, right? We need them to develop cyber security products right from. That's why today there's a new concept called DevSecOps, right? DevOps, I'm sure you know about it, but join or collaborating development and security and operations together. That's the DevSecOps, yeah. And then we have the orange team, who's more of the facilitators team. Then we have the green team, right? Automation people, right? And then we have the blue, the purple, and the red team. The blue, as you know, are the defenders. The red, are the offensive security guys, the breakers, as we call it, right? And purple, the best of the both worlds, right? Red and blue. And the white are basically, the people who are security auditors, compliance, logistics, management, all that stuff. So where do you fit in? Choose your color wisely, right? Okay, so you guys are now gearing up to wear different hats, right? and this depends upon your mindset, right? If you want to go on the offensive side of the things, the red team is waiting for you, right? Offensive security stuff, all about offensive. And if you're the guy who wants to defend, against the bad guys, the evil guys, you are the guys, the whole world needs you, right? And that's where threat hunters, incident responders, infrastructure specialists, right? And all that. And if you start spending some time on either of these fields, right, red and blue, and if you have solidified and fortified your experience, you qualify yourself to join the purple team, where you have the sharpened skills of both the blue and the red, right? And then you are in high demand again, right? Because you will be wielding the knife and the sword together, and where and how to effectively use it, right? Sorry, when I say the sword and the shield, sorry, I meant knife and the sword. It's sword and the shield. Yeah. Okay. So going back to the problem, right? 70% cybersecurity leaders say the people coming out from universities, they are not qualified enough, right, to do the job. To put it bluntly, they are not workforce ready, right? They have university degrees, but they don't have the skills. Why? What is missing? The missing element is, according to the industry leaders, it's the hands-on training, right? And most of the companies, they go for that, right? And some companies, they feel, right, if we have a hands-on training more than a university degree, right, that's what we give him one notch above when we are trying to qualify him, right? This doesn't negate the idea of not having having a degree, right? Degree is a must, let me tell you. And you guys are the right spot, right? Going forward, right, I mean, there'll be further scrutiny, right, where degrees like what you guys are trying to imbibe, I'm trying to gain, they'll be more sought after, right? But at the same time, your degrees as well as the hands-on experience makes it a very lethal and potent combination. Yeah. And the current cyber learning resources are inadequate, right, to say the least, right? We have non-industry certifications like CompTIA, EC Council. I don't want to name them, right? But then you also have vendor stuff. But these are not really doing or helping, for today's, challenges that we face. So what's the solution for us? Okay, cyber range to the rescue. So cyber range, as I put it, it's enabling next gen cyber security rock stars, right? It gives them the hands-on experience and prepares them for the real world, right? By giving them, that close to real kind of experience, right? In a simulated situation where they will learn the skills and they will start being effective in no time. And so let me show you how this happens in this diagram here. So the classroom traditional style, right, where you learn different concepts, networking, databases, cybersecurity, right? So gone are the days of classrooms, right? I mean, people still attain that. I mean, I won't take away that, right? It's still there. But I pardon your, I should apologize. I'm speaking at the university here. And all of you do this, right? I mean, you learn, you teach and all that. This is not portrayed in an offensive way. But I'm just trying to say, today's young generation, right? They have come leaps and bounds, away from that traditional style of learning. They want something which is like, gamified solutions, right? Bite-sized topics and something more of, a dynamic simulated situations, right? Which will help them, right? So that means to say, the theoretical knowledge, hands-on building blocks, live fire experience and soft skills, they are obviously, absent in classroom, except for the top one, right? I mean, this is not my thing, please pardon me, but this is, the industry purists have, asserted this. So classrooms give you that theoretical knowledge, not so much, right? At least not on the real life fire situations. Yeah. Uh, but what about this one, the gamified solutions? They help you get, your gaps, missing gaps on concepts, and then they also give you those labs, simple labs. But then, they don't give you the real world experience and the soft skills that are needed. But on the other hand, cyber range, it does, gives you the theoretical knowledge, the concepts, as well as, the building blocks, as well as, live fire situation and the soft skills, right? So that means to say, if you look at the previous two things, the classroom and the labs, there is a cost to it and there is a time duration for it, right? And even though they churn out from the universities, they come there, the companies, they still have to shell out around 60,000 or 4 to 5 months of their salary, right? In training them for those specific skills. But on the other hand, cyber range inside of universities can make them job ready instantly, right? And then when they are there on the job, when they get the job, they are already, into action. So what is cyber range that I have been belaboring all this while now? It's a recent concept and it's a multi-purpose, virtualization technology enabled, right? And it's an environment that we use it for learning as well as for simulation of attacks and research and development and stuff like that. And it gives you the experiential learning ability, right? For those of you who are aspiring to be the next gen cyber security geeks, yeah. So it'll help you, to optimize your learning, right? It'll help you to adapt your learning. It will help you to, retain in your memory, right? The concepts, right? Basically, right? I'm going to show you that now. So some sample learning topics which cyber ranges usually have, red, blue, and white. Red you see here. I don't want to read this out. Blue is all about defense. White is, let's say you are not someone who's got the technical bent of mind, right? You are someone who wants to manage people, the cyber security folks. That means to say you're the one who is, leading them. So the CISO. So you need skills for that as well. So CISO for a day. All right. How do you deal with security culture? How do you deal with compliance? You need to learn for this, right? So all this is in a simulated platform. You learn it, right? And that's where the next gen cyber range helps us. So next gen cyber ranges are usually cloud based and they're also on prem, and they are available on demand. Learn from anywhere, right? And they have real virtualized networks. With lots of learning modules, we call them catalogs, and they are splintered with lots of commercial on the job security tools like the in-house company folks use, right? So these will have those real world tools like Splunk, Palo Alto, Checkpoint Firewall, right? And then you can have it for individual people or teams, and you can actually measure their progress, right? And of course, they will be modeled behind some industry framework like MITRE, NIST, and all that stuff. And most of the next gen cyber ranges, they also have hyper realistic network. They're modeled against that, right? They're just not simple labs, but a complete network to say, right? For example, they have more than 60 components, and they would have all that stuff, which will make it near real. We call it hyper realistic architecture of current enterprises today. And they also come with customizable attack scenarios, right? For example, you can choose your attack scenario, right? What's bothering you, right? There's some attack that you felt it's not has been not dealt with in your company, and you don't know how to deal with it, how to detect it. You can actually use scenario pros instead of cyber ranges to build that attack out. You can import your network customized to your company, right? And then you can slice it, dice it, choose it where you want your web servers, and then simulate this, and then try and do the attack, which is by using attack generators. Most of the next gen cyber ranges have attack generators, and these attack generators, they can without the human involvement, okay, they can generate attacks on your network infrastructure components, right, on different zones, segmentations of the network, allowing you to see, where all those evidences are there and what can you do to learn them, how can you learn these attacks, how can you learn it to defend, right, all that stuff. And then also most of the cyber ranges, decent ones, they also have to take into care about ICS and OT attacks, right? This is the specialized operation networks, which we call as the industrial control systems or the SCADA networks, usually used in the in the airports, in the secure networks, in the military, or or navy, or you name it, right? I'm just trying to remember some word for it. Yeah, energy sectors, all of that, right? Oil and gas, so they have different components, right, which are not the traditional IT components, so we need to practice on them as well. So most of them have that, right, the HMI, HDMI stations, where you can intercept that attacks, detect that attacks, and all that. Anyway, so that was just to give you a little bit of a 50,000 feet view about the concepts of background about cyber ranges. So just that if you want to know if there are any commercial ones available, of course there are, right? And since I'm a SANS instructor, right? Look, I'm biased, yeah, by the way. So SANS is a very what do you call, top-notch organization, right, offering cybersecurity courses, and they have all the SANS networks for red teaming, boot up CTF for the beginners, Cyber 42 for the CISOs. But a word of full disclosure here, right? I'm also an employee of Cyberbit, right? And nothing beats Cyberbit, yeah. So Cyberbit Cyber Range, right? So I'm introducing you to this, which is the de facto platform for all sorts of cyber education, right? Almost most of the top universities in the world, they actually use this, yeah. So you can see that out here, right? And this is the most comprehensive skill development platform. It enables you to learn entire hands-on cybersecurity curriculum on demand, right? With cyber labs, okay, which are those individual skills that you want, something like on Docker or Kubernetes security, or something on network analysis or reverse malware engineering, right? It also has spotlights with theoretical content and cyber ranges, which I'm going to do a demo now, real fast, in a real fast way, right? I'm running out of time, or what's the time now? Still there, okay. And it gives you assessment as well, right? It'll try to evaluate your progress, and how are you faring, what are your missing gaps, and how can you fix on this, right? And it's used both at the undergrad and the master PhD level, and it really helps, yeah. So it's got something called spotlights, where they teach you in a very dynamic way the concepts, right? Here we are looking at the TCP/IP flags, the SYN, SYNAC, ACK, right? When is each flag used, and when is the other one, right? And what gets happen when the acknowledgement doesn't arrive, all this covered in a very beautiful, elegant way, and design in lots of visual ways. And you also have the cyber labs, which is, as I told you, very simple labs, right? Just one machine connected to the network. And here, you learn more about that. But this one here, this is where, you have the biggest bang for your buck. It's a complete real world attack on a hyper realistic network, right? The labs will be, here the labs are just for 1 hour max. Here the labs can be, 3 hours, 4 hours lab, right? And I'm going to show you one now. So it can also help you to identify gaps, the cyber ranges, right? What are your missing gaps? It can give you the dashboard, right? And it can tell you where you need to fix it, right? And it will give you scores, right? How much are you faring, and how are you measuring against the industry, right? So this guy, Bradley Taylor, He's got 73 against the industry, right? And he has attended so many sessions, and these are the skills he has practiced from the MITRE stack. And it can also test you theoretically as well, right? Quizzes and answers, and gives you marks, and it gives you unprecedented visibility into the progress of how you're faring, right? With the right amount of individual levels of skills, or it'll help you identify where you're lacking progress, all that stuff. Anyway, so this one, okay, we tout ourselves as one of the best ever cyber ranges in the world. It's fully equipped with hands-on for both defensive and offensive, right? And it's also got today the CISO stuff, right? And it's got proficient with all the tools on the job that you want to use, and it's got the pressure of a live cyber attack, right? And I'm going to share that pressure with you today. Now, so in conclusion, academic programs are good, right? They teach you the concepts, but they have limited exposure to the industry, real world infrastructure, and real world security tools that are used in organizations like Palo Alto, Carbon Black, or you name it, right? The CrowdStrike. So in cyber range, you can learn all this, as well as the soft skills, right? How do you write reports? How do you interface with the management and all that stuff, right? This will help you deliver that much needed thing, and you will be ready as soon as you pass out, to be absorbed and be chased after by those recruiters. Okay, so enough of me talking all about. Now let me show you a live fire scenario about one such stuff. Yeah, so let me know if you're still able to see my screen, guys. Are you able to see my screen? Are you?
Yes, it's visible.
All right, cool. So for the sake of time, I have already logged in as a player Cyberbit, right? And I'm going to take you into a demo. Now, when you log in, this is, as a student, let's say, right? I just get this code here. I don't know what this whole thing about. It just says the lab is for 3 hours, and it's got a code called Washington, DC, right? And I need to click start here, right? And when I click start here, hang on a second. Okay, so someone is asking me, should I ask for a break, or is it fine that we continue?
No, we shall continue.
We shall continue? All right, so let's continue, yeah. So this is where the action is, right? So I don't want to lose you. So just hang on tight onto your seat, guys. Fasten up your seat belts, and here we go. So I'm going to click on the start button. When I click on the start button, it's launching me, okay, which says network is ready. All right, so this is my cyber range, and it says, this is available until 3 p.m. So let me click on the start. It says about this unit, welcome aboard. You are the member of the SOC team of an organization who call themselves Services Incorporated, and your shift has just begun. As part of this module, you have complete access to the services.dom domain and all of its machines under the domain, right? And details of the machines are found in virtual network and virtual network info. Of course, you can use RDP or PuTTY to access this. And there are additional tools if you wanted, right? Like disassemblers, Wireshark, and all this stuff. It says good luck. Okay, so I'm that guy now, and I've started my shift. And this is my network. So let me zoom in here to show you the network. I need to scroll it down. So this one here is a simulated internet. It's not the real internet. It's a simulated internet, right? And then it comes in, and by the way, this is all on Amazon Cloud, yeah? And then we have the first firewall, which is the DMZ firewall, right? You know what a DMZ is, right? It's a demilitarized zone. The area, it's called the no man's land, right? How do you figure it out? Between North Korea and South Korea, it's a no man's land. And here, DMZ is, some network segment on our network, on our company side, which will be hosting public services, right? That will be available for the whole of the public, right? And what do we host there? We host our websites, okay, on our web servers. www.university.com. Okay, so that will be hosted. So most of the stuff that is needed from the outside, like our DNS servers or websites or mail relays, they'll be hosted here. And then what? After the DMZ, again following the right way of architecting the network. Remember what I'm showing you here is modeled against a real world network, right? You have another firewall which is called the internal firewall. That's again the Palo Alto firewall. And then most of the time you have your internal web segment. That's where you have your internal intranet web servers or FTP servers or whatever. Then one of that interface actually is taking you to the server segment. That's where you have your domain controllers, your mail servers, your SQL servers, file servers, you name it, right? And then one segment or one interface on that is taking you to the SIM segment. So in this particular example here, I have chosen QRadar as my SIM, but Cyberbit range will allow you to have Splunk. It will allow you to have ArcSight as the SIM. You name it, right? You can choose your own SIMs. But QRadar is a little bit user friendly. That's why I love to use this for demos. And then you also have the user segment. That's where your users are, right? Internally, right? And they are Windows workstation as well as the Ubuntu workstations. You have database segment. All of this is modeled against the real world. And let me show you. There's one more interface here, which is the VPN segment. This is for where you like me, I'm connecting from here to the actual segment there, right? So this is the stuff. And it also has got the network info. This is actually nothing but the IP addresses of the firewalls and their credentials on how to connect them, right? So I'm going to use one of them here to show you. And then it also has some tools of just a 2-minute video about Palo Alto, QRadar, if you're not familiar, right? So these are the ones. Okay, so now let me start machine here. So I'm going to start. So your machine has begun, right? So once the machine has started, and I'm going to click on the simulated station here, I will come back here and add new findings, right, on all the findings that I have. So let me click on the simulated station here. All right, so it's connecting me to the Apache Guacamole, which is the interface that is needed to do an RDP session, right? And over the web, I'm now RDPing inside to that particular network. All right. So look at this. I'm now connected to the SOC analyst machine, right? So this is the machine that I have. And as soon as I get connected, on the top here, you will see the same stuff that you just saw, the network map that you just saw on the outside of the station. This is the one that I just showed you, right? It also has got the network info. And it has got a clipboard, right, to paste something here and to take it here on the other side when you want to paste the findings. Anyway, so now the first step for me is I need to, what is that an analyst would do? An analyst would do as soon as he comes in the morning to start investigating or detecting incidents, he will go to the SIM, right? In our case, the SIM is the QRadar. So let me log into that. So I'm going to copy that URL, log in here, and I'm going to paste this. So it's going to log into QRadar, right? And then what are the credentials that I need to have for QRadar? The credentials are, this is the password and the username is admin. So let me type admin. And because I'm a lazy guy, I will paste the password that I copied from here. By the way, laziness is a mighty virtue, right? It saves you time, yeah? So always have laziness on your side, yeah? By the way, I'm just joking, yeah? Just making fun of myself. All right, so now I'm logging into IBM QRadar. All right, so this is the real world commercial fully licensed QRadar. Let it wait for us to let it load it up. And then you see, look at this, offenses, right? Yeah, so I'm going to click on that. So now I'm going to show you. It's a little slow, but it should come up. Yeah, the dashboard should come up. But since I'm in a hurry, let me click on offenses and see if the offenses is loaded. Oh yes, the offenses page is getting loaded, displaying 0 of 0 items. Why? Because the dashboard is still not loaded. Uh, Let me refresh. All right. Okay, now it's loaded, and now is the offenses page, right? So why is the offenses page not showing me anything yet? All offenses. Should I refresh it again here? Okay, let me go here. All right, so this one is the thing. If I come here on offenses page, my offenses is not showing me anything. All offenses is not showing me anything. It should show me something, right? Come on, why are you not showing me some stuff? Let me log off and log in again, probably. That should help. Or is it unable to? This
Is
is
it
the,
connected to the syslog server? Maybe you can check.
of course it is connected. Okay. So let me log off. Yeah, let me log out and log in back. By the way, that's the first time I'm seeing that, it's not populated with the database. No worries. We will get to it. What's happening, man? Why is it not copying? Copy this password, and when I come here, please paste it. Okay. Now log in. I say never. Now let me allow it to load. Okay, there was no time series for the data. Okay. Dashboard is fine. Offenses. Why is still the offenses not here? Um, let me just do something here. Hang on a second. Okay, so let me check if there are any offenses uh, for source IP, because I know the source IP. How do I here? I can search for that. So order by source IP, and I need to search for the source. I'm just searching for it. Hang on a second. Source IP 192.168.100.15. Yeah, I'm just using some search there. All offenses. Why is this? Okay, so hang on a second. That means to say I'm on the correct one, right? Which is the on the- okay. Just give me one more thing. I already have another session here for Washington DC. This is at 12:30 p.m. Okay, let me log into this as well. I have a backup, yeah. So in case something goes wrong, I just wanted to have a backup. So let me see if this one is fine. Just wait. So I'm going to use the network info again, and QRadar. I will copy that. I will go to Google Chrome, use a new tab, paste it here, hit enter. Then let me copy the credentials, password. Okay, so this is the dashboard. This looks a little bit okay to me. Offenses. Ah, there you go. Thank God I had a backup. Yeah. Anyway, so look at this. This is the first ID. It says, can you see this? Let me zoom a little bit. So for those of you who are not able to see, okay. So this is a suspicious net traffic. Source IP is 100.15, and destination is going to 213. And this is the first alert that the guy in the morning has seen. Okay. So let me double click on this. This should open to give me the more detailed information. Okay, so what I will do is, as an analyst, I want to copy this information in a notepad so that if I need it, it's there for me, right? So what am I trying to copy? I'm going to copy this one here: suspicious net traffic and source IP, and the start time is this. Yeah. So Control C, and this is like how a normal analyst will do, right? They do note keeping. And I also want the destination. The destination is this. All right, it's going to 213 something. So I'm going to save that here. So now I have the source IP 115 and destination. Now let me actually go and check on the Palo Alto firewall if I'm able to see this, right? So there is a Palo Alto firewall for correlation. This is the Palo Alto here, right? So let me search for the firewalls. When I type Palo, you see that here, right? Let me check. There are two firewalls, right? One is the internal one, this one, and the other one is this, right? So let me first use this one, which is the internal one. Okay. Then open a new tab. I just want to see if that IP address that I saw going out, is it seen by the firewall himself, right? Um, so password is this admin. All right, so let's log in.
Hidayath, we have last 10 minutes.
Oh, we have just last 10 minutes. Okay. I thought I had a 1.5 hour session, right? No?
Everybody is hungry.
Oh, everybody's hungry. Okay. All right. So no problem. I've done my slides. I just wanted to show you some cool stuff from a demo, but I will try to hurry up. Yeah. So I think I'll be done in 10 minutes, hopefully, as long as the time allows me to do that. Anyway, so all right, so now here, this is the firewall, right? Now I'm going to search for that, the destination IP. In my case, the destination IP, I just copied it from the notepad. I just saw 213, this one here. So copy this. Here I'm going to change that to this and remove that last dot, I think. Hey, go away, man. Yeah, the last dot. This is always a problem. Yeah. And then I will change this to manual, and I will try to, oh, look at this. So destination is this, and my firewall is saying, 192.116.100.15 has connected on port 443 on this machine, and that same machine also has connected on port 80 to that machine. And look at that. In 80, port 80, only 6K bytes, but here 485 kilobytes have been transferred. This is not normal, right? This is something happening there fishy. And where is it? On which IP address? 192.100.15. So let me go and check that. Right now I'll be a little bit faster. I got that. So who is 100.15? 100.15 is Windows workstation, and let me copy that IP address. Now let me RDP to that. Okay, let me paste that IP address, and let me connect to that. Okay, because I need to connect. This is part of the domain services, and I have to connect at user as user 82. Yeah. So I need to first give the domain name services backslash user 082, and then now I will connect to that. And the password is again this one, which is just password.
Hidayath, can you zoom it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I will zoom it. Just give me 1 minute. As soon as I'm logged in, I'll zoom it. Okay, now I have logged in internally to that machine which was reported on the Splunk and the firewall, right? And the first thing that I would do here is, as an analyst, I would run a command called CMD, and then here, just running against time, 24. Okay, so look at this. So I'm going to say netstat minus NAOB, pipe it to find. I'm looking for all the established connections, yeah, on this using netstat. And sure enough, right, this one 110.110, it's my machine, and 66.20 is the Splunk, and this one stands out 200.213.0.123. This is what I saw as on the Splunk as the destination, and it's connected, and 3124 is a process. What is this 3124? Let's quickly use the task manager to help us that. Okay, come on, task manager. Task manager, right? I will go into details here, and the PID, sort that PID, and control plus plus. It's not going 3124. Okay, 3124 is cmd.exe. If I right click on properties, there's nothing much here, right? It's just say simple. But I want to get some special tool for this. So I will go back to my analyst station here. On my analyst station, let me move this widget to the left. Go back, go to the left. I need to minimize this, yeah? Now it's here. And on this side of the things here, there is a tool called Process Explorer, right? I'm just going to copy this one here. So Control C, copy it, go to my RDP station, and then paste it here on the screen, and then run this. Now you will see something interesting. Okay, so the process is 3124. I'm looking out for that process 3124, right? Again, let me increase the font for you guys a little bit so you can see 12. Okay, and this is the PID, right? So 3124. So I'm going to sort this by clicking on that, and I'm going to go down for 3124. I went too much down. Yeah, 3124 is here, right? Look at this. Now right click and properties, and here it says its current directory is some temp, and there is some strange directory there, and it says parent is non-existent. So let's quickly check out what that directory is. Okay, so I'll fire up my file explorer. It goes c:temp, yeah. So c:temp, and this is the directory, and here there is something called sendfile.vbs. What is this? Let me edit it with notepad, and you see this is some kind of a VB script, right? And it is used here to send emails, and Outlook is being used. On a hunch, I'm immediately going to check my Outlook. Most of the time in investigation, we follow hypothesis, right? And look at this. John Smith has sent an email to user IT2, and there is an invoice. When I hover my mouse over it, it says the invoice is trying to download an invoice 54671.exe. Maybe you can't see it enough, but that's the thing. It's trying to download something called invoice with a .exe, right? So let me go to this location here, on the thing where it gets downloaded. So I will go to c:users, and when I go to user 82 downloads, sure enough, right? This one here, if I do static analysis strings on it, it'll tell me that it is trying to connect to that port, right? So now I finished the investigation so far, right? Now I have to go back and add those findings here. So let me just show you, adding a finding here. So what did you find? I found a PE file. What is the name of the file that you found? I found this file, which is called, where is it? By the way, I need to fill in those answers, yeah, and I need to do some mitigations for that. So do you want me to do that, or should I stop at this point here? So that will give me score, that will tell me what all I did. So these are all the findings that I need to add here. Okay. By the way, I just need three findings and two responses, so I can check those responses, probably deleting that exe file, or creating some rule there, and then this will then give me the score, and it will tell me. So it has taught me some skills, right? And I will leave it to you if you want me to do it. If not, we will call it a day. Yeah, I think it's 1:15, so I finished it within those 10 minutes. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the rest of the stuff I would need around 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to finish this. If not, this is where we found that information, and this is where we can learn about how to add those findings and how to mitigate that incident, and stuff like that, all in a real life scenario. But it's your call. I will leave it to you.
Yeah. Please go ahead for next 5 minutes. It's fine.
Okay, all right, sure. Okay, so just call me out when you feel that you want me to stop. Okay, I respect your time, and the time that you have given me is very valuable. So just okay. So what did you find? PE file. So what is the PE file that I found out? My RDP session has been killed. Is it? Looks like. Oh no, it's here. Sorry, it's here. So this is the PE file. So let me. I'm just going to show you one at least. Yeah, properties. So I will copy this name here, invoice, and then I'm going to go here. And here on this one, this is my clipboard. Yeah, look at this. I'm going to paste this here, and I will say plus. So when I go back here on this page, in the mission finding, here on the mission finding, I will add the finding here. What did you find? PE file, and the name of the file. I will check on the clipboard that I just pasted. This is the one. Copy, Control V. I got this. What is the full path? The full path is this. Um, this is the full path. Control C, then go back and paste it here, and plus. Okay, and I'll just do it for one so that you guys know. So here is the full path. I've copied this, and then backslash. I also give to need this one. This is the full path. So invoice, I found it in this download directory. How did the file get to the host? Phishing email. What domain it used? We just saw here. When we were hovering our mouse on the email, we saw it. There's something called a video LAN, right? So I'm just going to type that here as a video LAN. And when I click check me, it will tell me all those things are finished, right? So I can say submit. I got my first finding. So similarly, I can add multiple findings here. Like what is the process that was used for communication? CMD. What is the port number? I think it was 443. I used check me. Yes. Right. And then so fast, right? And then the third one here is what was the other one? It's a VBS script that we just saw. What is the name of that script? Send file dot VBS. What is the full path of that script? The full path of the script, let me go here. Send file.vbs. Where is it? Cancel this. C colon temp. This one here, and this one is the full path. Properties. I'm done now. Just I think in 2 minutes I'll be done. So Control C, and I paste it here and plus. So I go here now, and what is the full path? Here I check on this clipboard. This is the full path. Copied, and I paste it here. I also need to give this one here, which is send file.vbs. Did it spread to the other things? No. Now, what is the purpose of the script? To leak data, right? That's the one? Yeah, to leak data. All right, so check me. Oh, open a web shell, sorry, to leak data. All right, guys. So, look, I found all the 3 out of 3, right? The next one is just deleting those things, the malware, check actions that will give you the score, right? So, this is what is whole about CyberRange. So, now I'm going to open up for questions if you have, and that's all from my side.
Just wait for 2 minutes. If there are any question, I'll repeat to you.
I'm not able to see you, but if you're able to see me, guys, nice time.
Yeah, they can very well.
They can see me. All right, cool.
Is there any issues?
Everybody is hungry. Everybody is hungry. I can feel it. Yeah.
But it was very nice presentation. Now the lot of things is going on.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, Hidayath Khan ji, for the valuable time and the presentation you have given. It was truly given the insight to the students like how the cyber range works. Thank you, Hidayath ji, and we would like to have you more over here and in the physical form if possible. Some
Yes, I would be delighted to be there in front of you guys sometime so soon. Cool. So thank you, everybody, and you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Okay, just search for Hidayath Khan CyberSec. Right, I think the first hit will be me. You can add me there, and I'll be happy to be connected to you. And if there are any questions or anything that you want me to give you a helping hand, don't hesitate. All right. With that, we conclude. Thank you, everybody.
thank you,
Bye.
thank you.
Yes.